Hello. It's so great
Hi,
to see you.
thank you. I'm excited to connect with you.
Wonderful. Me too. So, Emily, today we are going to chat about resiliency, right?
Yes, absolutely. It is the name of the
Okay.
game.
Woohoo. Okay. So, before we start that though, let's tell us about you.
All right, so my name's Emily Ragland. I am the creator and founder of communiTEAM. I have worked as a family professional and educator in one way or another for about a decade. Most of my experience is around trauma as well as working with individuals with special needs. So I'm really excited to be here because right now we are facing a time of trauma. It's a world where we are experiencing new things and unknowns, and our brains and our bodies and our friendships and relationships are all being tried a little bit differently than they're used to being. So I'm excited to be here to sort of give a little input on how to be helpful and whatever I can offer to you guys.
Yay, wonderful. Okay. So, tell us how community sort of began, like what the progression was.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just recently, at the beginning of this month, I guess, graduated with my master's from NC State in youth, family, and community sciences. And again, my work has been really largely around trauma informed support. And with COVID coming around, I saw that there was a need for more education around how to support kids through trauma and families through trauma. And I know that this is a time, and trauma can be such a hot topic that, we hear that and we think, oh my gosh, something, has to be a sexual assault or something that's physical, but trauma can be just intense change and struggle. And so I think it's important that I created a business that allowed families and professionals to bounce back from this because our new normal will look very different. And I want to be a part of the conversation around supporting families and professionals as they support communities as a whole so that we can rebuild and continue to support families as they also rebuild and develop a new normal and a new entity.
Oh, that's you. I feel like you hit the nail on the head. I feel like myself included for a long time thought trauma was just, there's something that just majorly catastrophic happened. And
Right.
that's not really the case. I mean, we've all experienced trauma in some form or fashion in some way. I mean, and sometimes I feel like even now, this may be a little bit out there, but I feel like trauma is even still a big change, even if
Yes.
it's not positive at the time, something positive can come out of it too as well. And so that's kind of why I think it's so amazing that you're talking about resiliency, because that's exactly what it is, how we can bounce back from it. So
For sure. And everybody has the ability to do that. I think that's what we forget also is there's skills that we all can use to be resilient and to learn resilience and teach our kids, especially the resilience. And so that's what I'm excited to sort of show families and professionals is, yeah, it may look different to everybody and families look different to everybody, but there are skills that we all have or can create that can foster that process of resilience.
yeah, I love that. So you actually led into like what my next question was. Look at you. So would you mind sharing, are there tools, techniques, movies, resources? Like give us some of the rundown, because we could really all use that right now.
Yeah. So the biggest thing right now, and I know the thing that a lot of us are craving, and you and I even touched on before we really got engaged this morning, is, relationships. They have changed completely. We can't just go outside and ride bikes with our friends. We can't hop over to the park or go to the library or, soccer practice. All the things that built relationships are so different now. And I think that's where our success is going to lie is although it may mean that now we Zoom with grandma and grandpa, or we write letters, like good old mailbox letters, sending people, something we drew, or a project we did for school, or, a poem that we might write. The opportunities are there. It just has to look different, and we have to get creative with it. So resilience is really based on, action. And what we know about it is kids who have those connections or who have professionals or parents who build those with them able to be more resilient. And so they need someone that trusts them, someone they can trust, someone they can share their worries with and their excitement with. And that used to maybe be a teacher that they saw every day or the coach they saw every Thursday. But now they don't see those people. And so we need to rebuild what their community looks like. And so again, it might not be face-to-face, next to each other, but it can still be face-to-face on FaceTime or Google Meets or Zoom like we're doing now. And just allowing them a chance to say that there are people in their corner and to see that there are relationships that they can still maintain is going to be really critical when they rebuild and develop further, in the fall as we return to school or our new normal lays out. They're going to need those relationships because everything's changing. And the only thing we know for sure is there's more change coming. And that's a scary thought for families and for kids. But if in that change, no matter what, mom or dad or our favorite coach or our teacher or grandma and grandpa and our family friend, if they're all still there, then the change is less scary. And so those connections are going to be what gets us through and supports families and kids in the next, I would suggest, year or so, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, I think that that timeline is probably really accurate, because I feel like they're predicting it may taper off, when we get warmer, but then sort of ramp up again. So
right.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, the relationship building. So it sounds like what I'm hearing you saying is definitely like one of the best ways for our kiddos to become more resilient is a relationship building. Is there anything as parents or, for ourselves that we can also do for them to model? Like, is there other tools or things that we could do?
That's a great question. So like you said, modeling is going to be really critical. And like you mentioned, even with your work and your son even, is showing them what the behavior is that we're looking for, but also reminding ourselves and them that this is a weird time. And so we can't also expect them to act the same as they did 4 months ago, or to engage with themselves or with our family even 4 months ago. So as parents, we need to give ourselves the forgiveness, if you will, of imperfection and get rid of any guilt of, I didn't do teaching for 4.5 hours and I didn't get, the science project completely finished. And, you have to allow yourself to remember that these times are abnormal and the expectations can't look the same when the environment is so different. And so it's fair for you as a parent and fair for the kids also to say, you know what, some days we throw our hands up and we just get through the day. And that may mean that you cuddle and watch a movie. And a great movie for kids is, I don't know if you've seen, I think it's Inside Out.
Yes! Oh, I love that movie!
Because it teaches emotions and it teaches us, the opportunity to learn they exist, that they can change how we feel, how we work with others, how we engage. And as a parent, a movie that, again, trigger warning to these two especially, the movie Resilience and the movie Paper Tigers. It's a great movie in the sense that it shows you the effects of trauma and the importance of resilience. Now, I give trigger warnings because they also have some very intense conversations, some very intense dramas around trauma and around the struggles. So I do warn everyone who may want to watch them, especially if you're prone to any struggles yourself, to maybe just, if you have support, let them know you're going to watch it, maybe plan to sort of regroup with them so that you can have a conversation. I'm also present. I'm sure Christy's willing to talk too. But they're great because they show us how having people in our corner and having that one person or two people that we remember pushed us and supported us can really change who we become. And that our past traumas and even current traumas don't have to be what define us. Our bounce back is what defines us. and everybody's bounce back looks different. So that doesn't mean that if you see on Facebook that, you know, that one mom is looking like she's killing it and she's doing the 6 hours of schoolwork and 2 hours of yoga and her kids are getting in yoga and she's cooking a perfect meal. Comparison can set us up for such failure. So don't compare to others. Just do your best in the moment with the knowledge you have. And when you need help, and if you need help, reach out to people, and give yourself time. I mean, when the kids go to bed, I know often we want to check our emails or like do that one last thing of work, but maybe you put your phone and your computer up and you just sit down in darkness and quietness and let your brain sort of process the day and regroup. Headspace is great. Calm is a great app. They're both really good for just sort of meditation and mindfulness and just allowing us to remember that the world's not on our shoulders. Our kids' future isn't decided by this exact moment. You have an opportunity to set them up successfully, but it doesn't mean that if you struggle today, that they will struggle forever.
We definitely need to hear that right now. Yeah, I loved the ideas about the end of the day. There's a doctor who, she has something in one of her books that she calls a neuroflix. And it's basically like a black and white. Like you go through the day, you envision the whole day through your head.
Right.
It's kind of like this black and white, and it sort of helps wrap up your day, helps you to process what happened, and it's helped me sleep easier. Like,
yes.
So, you know, you've just kind of gone through everything and you've given your brain that opportunity to just let it, you know, let it be.
Let it go. Yes. So. And often so many of us replay it anyways, that we might as well replay it in a way that lets us process it and get rid of it versus replaying it and thinking we should have and I could have and that one email and the teacher might judge this and this person saw this. I think it's an opportunity now to remind ourselves that we're doing our best and that sometimes our best may look different than someone else's best, and to give ourselves and each other a lot more grace than maybe we're used to. I think that is the time of the year.
I feel like that's my theme for this year, is give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. One of my best friends gave me a necklace for my birthday that it was Morse code. It was beads. It's really pretty.
That's
it's
amazing.
Beads and it's Morse code and it says grace. And I was like, you know me so well.
I love that. I think that's great. And you know what? The thing that I love about that also is little things like that we can share with our friends and our loved ones reminds them not only that we're thinking of them, but that we know them. And that's the time too where we can do that now is you see something or you come across, you know, an old picture or, you know, you have that memory of that one friend, call them, FaceTime them, let them know you're thinking of them, because we're not checking in with each other like we used to because we don't see each other in the office. We're not running into each other. We don't have our therapists or our counselors. You know, we may shift who's supporting us and it looks different. So even a quick check-in with someone that you know is needing it or someone that you just haven't talked to in a while, it goes a long way. And same thing with kids is, you know, just having, you know, maybe grandma and grandpa calling every once in a while. And it doesn't have to be long. Maybe you sing their favorite song. Maybe they read a book together. Maybe they drag the phone around and show you their new toys. But just an opportunity to remember that we're there for each other and they haven't been forgotten can really go a long way.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's such a great idea because we can think about it, or we may have thought about it when all of this began. But I kind of feel like what is it? Dr. Laurie Santos calls it hedonic adaptation. Have you heard of that?
No,
so
sure.
It's basically where you get something that you've been excited about and then you get used to it. You know, it becomes the norm for you, right?
Yeah.
And so, or sometimes you just forget about it, you know, and then you cycle back to it. That's something different. The hedonic adaptation is getting used to, you know, the thing or the circumstances. But I think that right now it's really good for us to circle back around things, especially me. Like, I need reminders. Just that's why I'm doing this. Like, this is so important to me because guess what? I feel like what I need, I'm trying to put out to the world. You know, that's what gives me joy. So
yeah, and I think
love that.
the reminder that this is a time of humanity and being human. And I think we're all so quick to forget what that looks like because we are distracted. And, you know, we're driving from practice to work to, you know, grocery stores to pick up the kid from here and bring them here. And so we don't often sit and think and process. And I think now we almost have too much time that we're sitting and thinking, and then we're thinking, oh, I should have, and what if I, and oh my goodness, what if they go back to school in the fall and they're so far behind? And, you know, I saw a thing of a parent, or I'm sorry, a teacher that said, worry less about teaching your kids, you know, academics and more about teaching them you're there for them. We'll teach them the academics in the fall, but you teach them right now that you're a parent, you support them, you love them, you know it's hard. And I think that's so true is, you know, we may see a shift in what academics look like in the fall, and who knows what that's going to look like. But what the kids need now is a lot less books and a lot more fun and family support and family resilience activities. And, you know, that's going to teach them far more about who they are, how strong they can be, and who's really there for them. And then we'll start learning again when the world offers that for us.
Well, I feel like we're learning now so much, just in a different way, right?
Absolutely true.
So that actually leads me, you're like perfectly leading into all my questions. Yay. So that leads me to the next thought I had. I'm curious to see what you have to say about how you see resiliency like changing, like our resiliency changing to adapt from what we have now to like the future. How do you see resiliency in that? Like, do you see it changing like in specific ways, or like certain broad things that we could be doing or will happen? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. You know, I think, again, like we mentioned, the word trauma, again, is going to be required as professionals, as parents. We're going to have to understand that it doesn't mean we failed. It doesn't mean perhaps that your child had that one experience that was horrific and detrimental, and perhaps they also did. That's not at all to negate experiences that are traumatic, but it's also to remind us that this process is traumatic to everybody. And so in the future, we're going to have to keep that in mind. We're going to have to remember the layers of trauma that this has on a lot of families. You know, people are losing jobs, which is going to impact food, and it's going to impact, you know, stress at home, which is going to impact drinking, which is going to impact abuse. I mean, all of these things are so layered that it's going to be really important that we remember that they're connected and they're not isolated instances. And so as we move forward, both as parents and especially as professionals, it'll be really important that we remember that these things are layers that have all connected to each other, and we can't solve just the one. We have to be ready to work on all of them. And for families, you know, that means building a strong enough family so that when it's time to really face those things to fight through, we have that strength. And we have the opportunity to lean on the people we know have our backs, because I hate to say it, but I don't think this is over, if you will. I think we have a lot more to see and a lot more to experience. And I think as long as we're honest with ourselves and each other and the world as a whole, to be frank, and we accept and acknowledge that this is trauma, this is an opportunity for resilience. But there's not one person who's not experiencing change that is traumatic. And like you've said, trauma doesn't have to be, I mean, often people say even childbirth is traumatic because it's a change, because it's intense shifting from who you were to who you are. And so we have to remember that, and we have to make sure we don't shy away so much from the word and think, oh, that's not me. You know, my kid that wasn't happening. I didn't have that. Because, you know, I think that's where we could fault ourselves in the future, is if we don't face this and say, yeah, this is hard, it's weird, it's new, it's different, I don't know how to handle some of it. And if we can say that and then lean on you and me and other professionals out there, then we'll be able to get through it. But we can't make it a hot button issue that we just refuse to acknowledge.
Yeah, denial. I mean, that's how we got through things previously, and it's just not working anymore. We need to change it, you know?
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, that is right on the money. So since we're all sort of more together and we have more opportunity to be with our families, do you have any suggestions for activities, like a favorite activity or things? I know that you had, mentioned calling, family and showing them toys,
Right.
or the summer is coming up and it's going to be just like, at least here in Texas, it's going to be scalding hot, super hot.
Yeah.
If you have indoor activities or you have a favorite activity or you see, just anything that could help with like sort of intermingling the resiliency in those activities. Do you have any of those?
Yeah, I do. One of the things that's really going to be helpful is imaginative play. No matter how old you are, I mean, even as adults, we might have to sort of remind ourselves that we can be a little more childish and a little less serious. And I think that in itself is a form of resilience. So, imagining having a kid, be a chef, or, having your own fake camp and the kids get to come up with activities and they're the counselors, and you guys have spirit weeks at home where maybe you wear your favorite sports gear on this week and your favorite bathing suit on another week. Just that opportunity to problem solve and create, because that reminds our families and our kids that we have those skills, and it supports growing them. So if we can support the opportunity to problem solve and to learn from experiences, then when and if we face ourselves with more of these challenges, we'll have some skills to fall back on. But still, it's fun. It's not sitting there and telling a kid, we need to be problem solved. We don't want to lecture. We don't want to get intense. We want to just have fun with it. And so things like puzzles are going to be great. 3D puzzles, make your own puzzle. You can paint something and then cut out the puzzle shapes yourself, put them on some, cardboard and make your own puzzles and send it to grandma and grandpa. I mean,
oh, that's 3 activities in one. That's a great idea.
Just like that. And, also movement is going to be really important as well. Physical movement. And I suggest to parents too, sometimes our kids want to just do these random flailing movements and get out some energy. And that's okay for a brief moment. But organized movements are really the ones that are going to support brain development in the way that we need during these times. So things like crossing your midline and touching your knees, touching your toes, jumping jacks, jumping rope, balancing. All of those things are things that not only neurologically support the development of our brains, which we need during trauma, but also are fun and exciting opportunities to sort of compete with each other, or see who can go the furthest with the running, or make an obstacle course. All those things can be really fun, but also really helpful when we talk about developing a stronger brain, so that during this traumatic time, we don't have such intense impact on our brain and our development. And when we come back to our new normal, we can start a little more fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have one of those competitive kids, so those activities, that's a great idea.
Yes. And you could even make, awards for each other, and, whatever it looks like, make ribbons, make certificates, build your own, award and trophy. I mean, those are all things that are creative and build that process of problem solving, while also still sort of supporting each other and working our hardest and being a team.
Yeah. Oh, those are all fantastic ideas. Thank you. Wow,
Of
that
course.
was so much. Oh my gosh, yay! Okay, so I also, what I've been thinking about is, we don't always have to buy things, right?
Right.
But I feel like sometimes there's just things that we have or have bought that have just really made a big impact, or that we just love, that has been amazing. And I'm a shopper. I'm try to curtail it a little bit.
Now's the time, though. I get it.
Yeah. If you could recommend one purchase that has really made an impact, or that you've enjoyed or loved, that's like $100 or less. I mean, so that's a lot, but it could be $1. It doesn't matter. What do you feel has been like a purchase that you've made that it made an impact that you really enjoyed?
So I would say for like adults, I think essential oils and diffusers are a phenomenal investment. You know, they're great for bedtime. They're great for when it's just time to maybe calm and read a book, or if we want to do some yoga and just have a nice smell around us. A good yoga mat, you know, isn't too pricey, and a good chance also to sort of just give ourselves a chance to regroup. For kids, I can't say enough, get a trampoline. I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be the big ones that are like $1,000. You know, one of those little individual ones. They have ones that have handrails
Handle,
for
yeah.
younger ones, because that not only is going to get energy out, you can put it in front of the TV if you want while they're doing that, put it outside, put it in their bedroom, but the movement that it gives our body is such controlled movement. You know, we want to, you know, create an opportunity, of course, for them ideally to go up and down and not flail all over. But again, it supports development of the brain, and it's also going to get out a lot of energy. So the 5-year-old that I work with, I have a trampoline at my house out front right now. And whenever I could feel him getting antsy, or even if we're just, you know, sitting and talking, he'll jump and sing his ABCs, or he'll jump and tell me his favorite shapes, and we'll look for shapes around the room. Just stuff like that. And it allows him to get out that energy in a way that's not detrimental or, you know, aggressive or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would definitely second the trampolines for sure.
They're great.
Yep. That one with the handle. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They are great. Okay. So tell us where we can find you on social.
Yes. So I am on Instagram at communiTEAM, COMMUNITEAM 2020. And so I often post on there a lot about family support and education. And then my website also is goodparentsgreatfamilies.com. And again, that has a little bit more about the services I offer, a little bit more about me. And if you want to reach out to me, my email is emily@goodparentsgreatfamilies.com.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for everything today. I feel energized. I have so much knowledge now. It's exciting.
It was great, and I appreciate you offering to have me, and I look forward to maybe doing this again. You know, and if moms out there have a specific topic maybe they want us to address, if you're comfortable, I'd say let us know, and we can do some work and get it set up so that we can really help you guys out in however we really can.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christy. I enjoyed it.
Have a great day.
You as well.
Bye.
Bye.